La STM vous souhaite la bienvenue à bord.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Metro Anarchy. My name is Fleek. Metro Anarchy is your City Skylines video series focused exclusively on public transportation. We find a city on the Steam workshop, pull out all of the public transportation, and then rebuild it from the ground up. We have already done a metro bus and my ill-fated ferry in the last episode. This week we are going to focus in, I think you can tell, on this train systems. I got locked in on doing 4 different types of public transportation, and this city just didn't really lend itself to any other style. A little bit too compartmentalized. I looked at doing a monorail or a tram, but I noticed that the train system is really backed up. So we are going to focus in on trying to resolve this train traffic jam. So keep sending in your feedback and interaction. I got some great feedback on my previous episodes, and in really nice and polite ways, people told me that I am a blabbermouth. I was not focused enough and the videos were too long. That's not how they put it at all. It was very, very polite, and thank you so much for the feedback. They were absolutely spot on. So we are going to focus in on 2 very specific things to fix this train traffic jam. As always, if you like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you like the series, subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe, mash on that bell so that you get notified of upcoming episodes. And as we fly out here over the peninsula onto the airport, let's get stuck in fixing this train system. So I'm going to start out by drawing where the train system is so you know where it goes overall in the city. From the outside connection, it comes along here and then comes along here, and then we have a cargo terminal and then the main passenger terminal right here. Then it continues on out this peninsula, kind of loops back around, and then it does some funky stuff in here, and then ends up swinging back around and connecting up right here. And the passenger lines are only on this loop here. So let's go ahead and clear this off and then zoom in so we can take a look at that. It's right in here, and you can see that that loop comes back right here and connects in. This is the outside connection rails coming in here, and then we've got the cargo terminal and then the passenger terminal right in a row. And this is a very common issue, so we are going to have to figure out a workaround for this. But it is causing, or at least one of the things that's causing this backup. The other one is actually out at the connection at the edge of the map, and that's where we're going to start. But before we do that, let's take a look at the numbers. I don't think that we will get much movement on the residential side, possibly because these trains will be moving faster, but we might get some improvement on the tourist side. And the reason that I say that is that there's some funky stuff going on out at that outside connection out at the edge of the map. So let's start by jumping out there and taking a look at that. All right, so if we scroll over here to the edge of the map, we have not purchased these tiles yet, so let's go ahead and purchase the tiles that we need to purchase. And that should allow us now. Yep. So we can get all the way out here. You can see out there, but you can't do anything without purchasing those tiles. So go all the way out here into the mist, and if we get all the way out here, you'll notice there are actually people just standing out here on the side of the rails. If I click on one of them, it's a tourist, and there's just gobs of them. You can see them all out here. And I don't think I've ever seen this before at the edge of a map. But what is going on is that when this map was originally made, we've got a cross rail right here. So this train is actually an inbound train. And if I start the simulation, you'll see they're just sitting there. This train wants to cross over, but there's something there. So let's see. Eventually what happens is they just despawn, but these outgoing trains can't get out. And as soon as these trains get out of the way, another one pops up, and then another one pops up, and they're just continually getting backed up. So here is what I figured out. We're going to go ahead and pause and delete all of these trains to get them out of the way. Actually, I think I've got to go down here and do it from the opposite end to get rid of all of it. Yeah, same thing with this one here. Delete that. And we'll go ahead and delete this one too. Now, I can do it out here in the mist, but I'm going to go ahead and just delete a few more and then drag. Oh, I gotta get it from that end there, and this one here. I'm gonna use the Move It mod and just drag this out so we can see it a little bit better. If you don't use the Move It mod, you don't have to do this. You can use the Move It mod to move this section, but I can't bulldoze that section. So if I try to bulldoze that section, it won't let me. It will let me bulldoze this one, but it won't let me bulldoze this one. So if I try to reconnect it, it'll just do this same cross-track thing, and we're still stuck in the same spot. So, and like I said, you could fix this right here without the Move It mod, but to make it a little easier to see, we're going to grab this and just drag all of these out a little bit so they're a little easier to see. We don't have to go all the way out, but just so that it's not quite as hazy here. And you know what, actually, what I could do is this. Just delete some of these sections, and now we can grab this, drag it out to where it is more visible. So there, I think that's a little bit better, and we'll go ahead and bulldoze one more. So here's what I figured out. If we go and grab the train track one way, and we draw, and let's get a little, make it a little snaky here. And then we draw a one-way back. And connect it up there. Now we have a one-way track here and a one-way track coming back. This still doesn't fix it. If I unpause here, we still end up with the same problem that a train will come up and sit here, and it doesn't allow this train to come through. What I figured out we can use is our traffic manager mod. I know I've talked about the fact that I don't do traffic manager stuff in this series, but in this case, it's the only way that I could figure out to fix it. And we can grab this spot, and why is it? Oh, there we go. Connect it up to there. And then we can grab this guy and connect it up to there. Now we are forcing this track can only go to this track, and this track can only go to this track. And so when we unpause, it should start letting these trains roll through. It might take a second. few of them might disappear here. Yeah, that one disappeared. Let's give it a second here. Well, it must be that I used the Move It mod to drag it so far over, as it looks like it has just made the disappearing point for the outbound trains to be right here instead of out here in the mist where it normally is. So, but it has gotten those outbound trains all figured out. It happened a little bit differently when I did the test run previously. It actually had them coming out here and disappearing out towards the edge, but I bet it's just the fact that I pulled it so far out with the Move It mod. So we have got that taken care of. Like I said, I don't know of any other way to get this fixed. There is a mod that allows you to add additional connections to the outside after you have started a map, and that would probably be a fix too if you added an extra connection. But this is a good workaround for that situation if you run into a map where you've got that outside connection being funky like that. So now that we've got that one fixed up, let's take a look at the connection down by the 2 train terminals. So we've taken care of the problem with the outside connection. Let's jump down here to this area and zoom in on these 2 train terminals. So as I mentioned, we've got a cargo terminal and a train station, a passenger terminal right in line. And this is, I see this quite a bit in different cities, and it seems like it would be a good idea, but what you end up having is, if we go ahead and start the simulation, you'll see that these trains just back up, and now because they're backing up far enough that they're keeping this train from getting in, it's keeping any of these trains from coming in, and these passenger trains can't get through to this passenger terminal. So the best way is to just build them on separate tracks to begin with, but in this city, I thought about doing a complete train system rebuild, and then thought about the feedback that I got and said, well, that would be about an hour-and-a-half long video. Definitely going the opposite direction. So the other thing that you can do is simply build a bypass around this. So let's go ahead and do that. Unfortunately, we've got a firehouse. I think this is a firehouse, yes. And if I were going to be continuing to play this city, I would move it, but this is actually the very last episode we're going to do in the city, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. I'm sorry, people. I destroyed your firehouse, and I'm also going to wreck your park. There's a park here as well. Even more unhappy people. Then let's go ahead and bulldoze these things here. And then to keep stuff from popping up, I am going to go ahead and dezone these so that stuff doesn't pop up while we are doing this. And let's just go ahead and bulldoze that. I don't think it'll get in the way, but just to be safe. All right, so now we want to build a train bypass. We're on the little squiggly tracks. Anywhere along in here, you don't want to get it too close. That can cause issues as well. So we're going to come back here and sneak this fellow around here. And we can just connect it right up to there. It is actually just as simple as that. So we will go ahead and start up the simulation. Now, it will take a little bit of time for the trains to figure out that this bypass is here. Remember that when the trains spawn, they get an idea of where they're going to go, and they stay pretty locked into that. I'm not exactly sure what switches it over. It happens after a little while, but you'll notice that trains will just continue on the same tracks, and then all of a sudden, one of them will come along and just blare right past on the bypass. So don't get frustrated if you do this and it seems like they're not using it. They will eventually start to use it. All forms of public transportation will take the shortest route if there are multiple routes, except if there are things in the way. It does calculate for that. So just know that after a while they will start using the bypass. You don't want to make it too much longer though, because if you did make it too much longer, it might cause the AI to think, well, we're going to take the shorter route even though it could potentially be blocked. So always try to keep your bypasses as short as possible. So I'm going to let this run for just a little bit, and then we will check back in a little bit to see what our numbers look like, see if we got any improvement on the tourist side, and see what the bypass looks like. All right, so here we are back, and all of our train traffic has sorted itself out. It took about 2 months of simulation time for all of the traffic to kind of die down. We had such a backlog of trains coming in from the outside, and then it took, there we go, there's a train using our bypass. It took about 4 months for trains to start using the bypass. No, about 3 months, actually. It was January when we did all of this, and it's now into April of sim time. And so, like I mentioned, it takes a little bit for the trains to find the new pathway and to figure everything out. But here we are, mission accomplished. We have gotten rid of the issue out at the connection at the edge of the map, and our bypass has done what it needed to do to fix up the train traffic here around these two terminals. Let's take a look at the passenger numbers. Well, a little bit of improvement on both sides, actually. I think it was about 137 for residents and about 30-something, maybe 36 or so for the tourists. So we've seen an improvement on both sides of that. So mission accomplished. There we've got one using the bypass in the other direction. That's actually the first time I've seen a train using the bypass in the other direction. So those are your 2 tips for trying to figure out train traffic, and that is going to wrap it up for this episode and for our time in the city of Gothiefen. So we will hop on a train for a first-person ride through the city of Gothiefen as we bid it farewell. You know, one of the hardest things about putting together this series is finding good cities out there on the Steam Workshop. So if you think you have a city that would be good to feature in a series of upcoming episodes, you can upload it to the Steam Workshop, and there are directions in the description below. Then email or tweet a link to me, and when you do that, let me know if there are any specific types of public transportation that you would like to see in your city. Please keep sending in the feedback and interaction. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody that has done so far. As always, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the series, subscribe to the channel. And if you do, hit that bell so you are notified of upcoming episodes. What city are we going to be in for our next episodes? I don't know, but you can bet the Metro Anarchist is going to start with a metro. So check back next episode for that. And until next time,
mind the gap.